I have 422 friends, yet I'm lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me.
Quarter in a payphone, drying laundry on the line, watching sun tea in the window.
I think it hurts personal relationships. People aren't physically coming in contact with each other as much as they used to be. They're able to do it from afar and not deal with the actual body language of people, which is a language all the time.
I feel like it's been good for America and everybody else in the world.
It's amazing to me how much technology has increased over the last even 5 or 10 years. But like anything, it can be used for good and it can be used for not so good.
Shifting gears ain't what it used to be.
4 or 5 hours out of the day.
15.
Probably a lot just because of school.
25 to 30.
About 7 hours, 8 hours.
Doing it all by hand.
Absolutely.
It would be hard. It would be hard. I think I could do it a lot easier than a lot of people could. But I would miss my cell phone. It's kind of my security blanket, so to speak. I keep it with me in case I ever need to call anybody. I would miss it.
Should be an age limit on when you give your child a mobile device.
I think it should be monitored, how much time they spend on it. You know, they gotta have regular playtime, learn to associate with other people. Just don't be clammed up in the shell with electrical device.
It's a status quo kind of thing, you know, like, my first car was a Nissan Sentra, but somebody else's first car was a Mercedes. Absolutely. Personal interaction, I think, is more beneficial for humans because I believe we are made to interact with each other.
Yeah, because to some people it's easier to spark conversations. Like you can sit and think about it for a while on your phone and you don't like sit in that awkward silence when you're face to face with someone, so it's easier for them. And like if you're a really shy person, it's easier to text or write than it is to just like say something to them. I think as a whole people do. I think it's just because it's easier, it's really convenient. It's kind of just how it's easy to find people on social media, and then it kind of removes the kind of like fear of, I don't know, I guess being rejected in person. You can just message them, and I don't know, I think that's just kind of people's comfort zones.
I think it's used too much. I think people are too tied to their phones, especially. You know, you go to a restaurant and you're looking at people at the table next to you, and there are 2, 3, or 4 of them, and they're all sitting there on their phones or on their devices, not talking. Yeah, and I think walking across campus, sometimes I see someone that I would like to say hi to, but they're listening to music or they're in their own little world, and so I don't feel free to interrupt them. So I feel like people are too tied to technology.
When I'm out to eat, I don't, just because I was raised not to be on my phone while eating, but if I'm bored somewhere, I'm going to be on my phone. No, I try to limit that. I try to kind of put my phone away. If I know the person, I'll stop and talk to them, but if I don't know them, then I'm not going to make conversation. But I usually are like texting somebody. I don't know, I guess it just depends on who I run into, but I do kind of equal amounts of both.
I can't wait until they run into a pole. I don't want them to get hit by a car. But there's that YouTube video of the lady texting in the mall who was just hauling butt and went right into the fountain there, and I laughed, and everybody else around me laughed because why wouldn't you? So look up and see the world, man. It's all around you. It's not in this little square box.
Sometimes I feel like I want to see them bump into something, fall down, not get hurt, but embarrassed is good.
I would like to tell them to text later and look where they're going and make sure they don't get run over. I mean, sometimes people do walk out in front of traffic because they're texting. So I would like to say that not wait until later.
unglued. People wouldn't know how to function in that kind of society. And you remember, I'm 38, so I grew up in a society where we didn't have any of that kind of technology. It was just coming out. You know, AOL was the big thing. Jesus, that took 20 minutes to check an email.
I'd rather talk to people face to face, just because it's me and I feel like it's more personal. But I still talk to people on social media as well.
I think it's gotten to the point where I think everyone is more comfortable kind of just texting, and I think it is more comfortable just to text, but I think that's just because that's our culture now. But I try to talk to people face to face as much as I can, and like I'll try to call people instead of text too, because I think it's more personal, and I don't know, I think it's easier because it's kind of more work to just like type the text.
Like texting, I think it's rude, but if you're using like your computer to take notes, then if that's their way of gaining the information the best, then let them be. But if it's anything else that's distracting, then it shouldn't be used.
I'm not going to say I don't do it, so I admit that we shouldn't use it during class unless it's something for the class the professor has given us permission for.
I think it's good to use technology to be involved, especially in the classroom and things like that, but I also feel like a lot of people waste a lot of time with technology and they're doing all those other things that they really need to be studying or maybe working on classwork and things like that. So I think it's important and it's pretty cool, a lot of the things that you can do these days, but it's also important to balance it with the rest of your life and not let it just take over everything.